List of Russian paddle and screw frigates, corvettes and clippers from 1836 to 1892. The format is name, number of guns, launch year, fate. This list includes only non-armored vessels. Paddle frigates. This section contains paddle ships with one opened battery and 3 or 2 masts. Therefore, they ought to be classified as paddle corvettes or paddle brigs, but all of them were officially classified as, which means steamer frigate. Paddle frigates of the Baltic Fleet: Bergata 28, Bu 1857, Kamchatka 18, decommissioned 1866, Hercules 22, until 1843 classified as steamboat, reconstruct and reclassified as paddle frigate in 1843, Bu 1854, Otvazny 4, decommissioned 1861. Smely 14, Bu 1860, Crabry 4, Bu 1856, Grozyashi 4, hulked 1863, decommissioned 1866, Ryurik 4, 1. Finished naval equipage, voyage to the Mediterranean Sea 1858 to 1859, decommissioned 1870, Gremyashi 4, wrecked 1862, Olaf 18, Helsinki 2. Finished naval equipage, voyage to the Mediterranean Sea 1856 to 1859, decommissioned 1892, Crabry 8, decommissioned 1881. Smely 8, decommissioned 1880, Solombala 8, until 1862 belonged to White Sea Flotilla, decommissioned 1875, Ryurik 3, decommissioned 1890. Paddle frigates of the Black Sea Fleet: Kherson's 4, scuttled in Sevastopol in 1855, when Russian troops abandoned the city. Bessarabia 6, scuttled in Sevastopol in 1855, when Russian troops abandoned the city. Crim 4, scuttled in Sevastopol in 1855, when Russian troops abandoned the city. Odessa 4, scuttled in Sevastopol in 1855, when Russian troops abandoned the city. Gromonosets 6, flagship of Vice Admiral Vladimir Kornilov during the Crimean War, scuttled in Sevastopol in 1855, when Russian troops abandoned the city. Vladimir 14, won the first in the world action between steamships. Captured Turkish steam frigate Pervazai Bari, scuttled in Sevastopol in 1855, when Russian troops abandoned the city. Paddle corvette of the Siberian Flotilla, the only one ship of this type served here. America 8, consisted of Japanese diplomatic mission of Vice Admiral Count Yevgeny Putyutin, flagship of Count Nikolai Muravyov-Amursky in 1859, took part of Vladivostok's foundation, decommissioned 1883. Screw frigates, all of them belonged to the Baltic Fleet in 1848 to 1892. Arkheimed 48 13th, first Russian screw ship, wrecked 1850. Polkan 44, the only Russian screw warship at the beginning of the Crimean War, served at the Mediterranean Sea 1856 to 1859. Scuttled to protect Kronstadt Harbor 1863, steam engine reused in Variag. Askold 46 served at the Northern Pacific 1857 to 1860, consisting of Japanese diplomatic mission of Vice Admiral Count Yevgeny Putyutin, Bu 1861. Ilya Muromets class Ilya Muromets 53, voyage to the Mediterranean Sea 1859 to 1860. Scuttled to protect Kronstadt Harbor 1863. Gromoboy 53, voyage to the Mediterranean Sea 1858 to 1859 and AMP 1860 to 1861. Training ship 1864, decommissioned 1872. General Admiral 70/64th, strongest Russian open-sea warship in 1858 to 1869. served at the Mediterranean Sea in 1860–1861 and 1863–1867, BU 1870. Svetlana served at the Mediterranean Sea in 1859–1860 and at the Northern Pacific 1860–1862, visited Brazil 1867–1868, voyaged to USA and Japan 1871–1873, voyaged Mediterranean Sea 1875–1877, training ship 1878, decommissioned 1892. Oslia Bu 45 35ths served at the Mediterranean Sea in 1861–1863 and in 1864, visited USA with Vice Admiral Stepan Lesovsky's diplomatic mission 1863–1864, armed with 8-inch rifled guns 1866, decommissioned 1874. Oleg 57 served at the Mediterranean Sea in 1860–1861 and in 1863–1865, sank over collision 1869. Paris Vet 51 visited USA with Vice Admiral Stepan Lesovsky's diplomatic mission 1863–1864, served at the Mediterranean Sea 1865–1866, decommissioned 1874. Dmitry Donskoy class Dmitry Donskoy 50 visited Brazil 1867–1868, decommissioned 1872. Alexander Nevsky 50 flagship of Vice Admiral Stepan Lesovsky during the diplomatic mission at USA 1863–1864, served at the Mediterranean Sea 1867–1868, wrecked at Skagerrak 1868. Screw corvettes. Screw corvettes of the Baltic Fleet. Boyarin class displacement 885 tons. Boyarin 11, first steamship that circumnavigated the world 1857–1860, rearmed by rifled guns 1871, converted to sail training ship 1870th, decommissioned 1893. Novik 11 served at Northern Pacific 1857–1860 and AMP 1861–1863, visited San Francisco consisting of Rear Admiral Andrei Popov's diplomatic mission 1863, wrecked near San Francisco 1863. Medved 11 served at Mediterranean Sea 1858–1860, laid up 1862, decommissioned 1863. Posadnik 11 served at Northern Pacific 1859–1862, decommissioned 1871. Gryden 11 served at Northern Pacific 1858–1862, decommissioned 1883. Voivode 11 served at Northern Pacific 1857–1860, rearmed by rifled guns 1876, decommissioned 1887. Volume 11 laid up 1866, decommissioned and hulked as floating barracks 1867. Rinder 11 served at Northern Pacific 1858–1860 and AMP 1861–1864, visited San Francisco consisting of Rear Admiral Andrei Popov's diplomatic mission 1863–1864, decommissioned 1871. Buyan and Kalevala. Buyan 18 served at Mediterranean Sea 1858–1860 and Northern Pacific 1874–1878, rearmed by rifled guns 1873, decommissioned 1889. Kalevala 19 served at Northern Pacific 1860–1864, flagship of Rear Admiral Andrei Popov's diplomatic mission at San Francisco 1863–1864, decommissioned 1872. Bogata-class Bogata-18 served at Northern Pacific and visited San Francisco, consisting of Rear Admiral Andrei Popov's diplomatic mission 1863–1864. Rearmed by rifled guns 1870, served at Mediterranean Sea 1876–1877, hulked 1888, Bu 1900. Variag 1817 visited USA, with Vice Admiral Stepan Lesovsky's diplomatic mission 1863–1864, served at Mediterranean Sea until 1867, rearmed by rifled guns 1870, training ship late 1870s, decommissioned 1886. Vitiaz 1817 visited USA, with Vice Admiral Stepan Lesovsky's diplomatic mission 1863–1864, served at Mediterranean Sea 1864 and Pacific Ocean 1870–1874, rearmed by rifled guns 1871, renamed Skobelev 1882, training ship 1892, hulked 1895. Askold 1817 served at Northern Pacific 1864–1867 and AMP 1872–1876 at Mediterranean Sea 1868–1869 and Atlantic Ocean 1876–1878, rearmed by rifled guns 1872, training ships early 1880s, decommissioned 1883. Late training ships for naval cadets Moryuk-10, decommissioned 1907, Voyn 9, renamed Treflev 1923, converted to mothership 1929, Bu after 1945, Verny 11, renamed Petrosovit 1922, Leningrad Sovet 1924, converted to mothership 1941. Returned to training ships in 1944, to motherships in 1948, Bu in 1950th. Screw corvettes of the Black Sea Flotilla, Boyron-class UDAV 911, transferred from Baltic Sea, decommissioned 1869, Rise 911, transferred from Baltic Sea, decommissioned 1866. ZUBR 911, transferred from Baltic Sea, decommissioned 1869, Falk 911, transferred from Baltic Sea, decommissioned 1866. VEPR 911, transferred from Baltic Sea, decommissioned 1866. Bival 911, transferred from Baltic Sea, decommissioned 1866. Voyn 20 quarters, classified as steam transport 1859–1871, rearmed by rifled guns by 1877, decommissioned 1891. Sokol-class Sokol 911 belonged to the Baltic Fleet 1861–1863, served at Mediterranean Sea 1863–1864, rearmed by rifled guns 1877, decommissioned 1893. Jastreb 9, rearmed by rifled guns in late 1860s, decommissioned 1871. Kreshe 9, rearmed by rifled guns in late 1860s, decommissioned 1871. Pamiut Mercader-class Pamiut in Mercury 11, rearmed by rifled guns by 1875, decommissioned 1893. Vitzer 11, rearmed by rifled guns by 1875, decommissioned 1893. Screw clippers. This type of light seagoing cruisers was invented by Russians. All of them first belonged to the Baltic Fleet and served in 1856 to 1900s. Some were later transferred to the Siberian flotilla. Razbornik class. Displacement 615 tons. Razbornik 6/3, first of the World Clipper of War, served at Northern Pacific 1857 c. 1861, decommissioned 1867. Strelok 6/3, served at Northern Pacific 1858 to 1862, decommissioned 1878. Zhigot 6/3, served at Northern Pacific 1857 to 1861, decommissioned 1867, sunk as target 1869, found by divers 2002. Oprichnik 6/3, served at Northern Pacific 1858 to 1861, lost in Indian Ocean 1861. Nyetsnik 6/3, served at Northern Pacific 1859 c. 1861, decommissioned 1867, sunk as target 1869. Plaston 6/3, served at Northern Pacific 1857 to 1860, sunk by ammunition explosion 1860. Gaidamak 7, served at Northern Pacific 1860 to 1864 and 1875 to 1877. Visited San Francisco consisting of Rear Admiral Andrei Popov's diplomatic mission 1863 to 1864, rearmed by rifled guns 1871, decommissioned 1886. A Breck class of Breck 5, served at Northern Pacific 1860 to 1864 and AMP 1871 to 1877 and 1880s. Visited San Francisco consisting of Rear Admiral Andrei Popov's diplomatic mission 1863 to 1864, decommissioned and hulked 1892. VSAD Nick 5 transferred to Siberian Flotilla 1862, served at Northern Pacific 1868 to 1871 and AMP 1873 to 1877, rearmed by rifled guns 1868, decommissioned 1881. Almaz class Almaz 7 visited USA with Vice Admiral Stepan Lesovsky's diplomatic mission 1863 to 1864, rearmed by rifled guns 1871, decommissioned 1881. Zhemchug 7 rearmed rifled guns 1871, rearmed torpedo tubes and converted to training ship, decommissioned 1892. Izumrud 7 circumnavigated in 1865 to 1867 and AMP 1870 to 1873, rearmed by rifled guns 1871, decommissioned 1886. Jacone 7 served at Mediterranean Sea late 1860s, rearmed by rifled guns 1871, decommissioned 1881. Chrysler class, the swan song of outgoing era sailing fleet. Chrysler 7, second naval equipage, served at Mediterranean Sea 1876 to 1877 and AMP 1891 and Northern Pacific 1879 to 1880, 1885 to 1886, 1889 to 1891 and AMP 1894 to 1899. Reclassified to cruiser of second rank 1892, training ship 1906, hulked 1911, VU 1924. Zhigot 7, 5th Naval Equipage, served at Atlantic Ocean 1878, Mediterranean Sea 188 and AMP 1884 and Northern Pacific 1879 to 1881, 1885 to 1886, 1890 to 1891 and since 1903. Reclassified to cruiser of second rank 1892, and Barents Sea 1895, transferred to Siberian Flotilla 1903, scuttled at Port Arthur 1904. Razbornik 7, second naval equipage, served at Northern Pacific 1880 to 1881, 1884 to 1889, 1893 to 95 and AMP since 1899. Cruiser of second rank 1892, transferred to Siberian Flotilla 1903. 1902, scuttled at Port Arthur 1904. ISNI 7, 3rd Naval Equipage, served at Northern Pacific in 1880 to 1881, 1883 to 1884 and AMP 1887 to 1888, at Mediterranean Sea 1882, and at Barents Sea 1893, cruiser of 2nd rank 1892. Decommissioned 1902. Strelok 7, 2nd Naval Equipage, served at Northern Pacific 1880 to 1882 and Mediterranean Sea 1884 to 1888, cruiser of 2nd rank 1892, training ship 1899, decommissioned 1907, BU after 1916. Plaston 7, 5th Naval Equipage, served at Northern Pacific 1880 to 1882, and Mediterranean Sea 1884 to 1885, cruiser of 2nd rank 1892, decommissioned 1907. Vestnik 7, 5th Naval Equipage, served at Northern Pacific 1881 to 1882, at Mediterranean Sea 1896 to 1898, and Barents Sea 1894 to 1895, cruiser of 2nd rank 1892, decommissioned 1906. Oprechnik 6, 4th Naval Equipage,